There is a $2 herb sitting in your grocery store right now. It pulls lead out of contaminated water. It strips mercury, nickel, and arsenic from drinking supplies that would otherwise poison you slowly. And it does this without electricity, without expensive filter cartridges, and without a single piece of proprietary technology. No batteries, no replacement parts. No monthly subscriptions, just a handful of leaves soaking in a pitcher of water. The American Chemical Society confirmed this in 2013. Researchers at Ivy Tech Community College proved it could outperform activated carbon, the same material inside every Brita filter on the market. Ancient Egyptians understood this principle over 5,000 years ago. They stored coriander in the tombs of pharaohs as sacred medicine. The Greeks did the same. So did the Romans, the Chinese, and civilizations across India for millennia. Then in 2013, a researcher named Douglas Shower accidentally rediscovered what the ancients always knew. He tested cilantro against heavy metal contaminated water in the Tule Valley of Mexico and watched lead levels plummet before his eyes. But today, the water filter industry generates over $45 billion a year, selling you plastic cartridges that expire every 60 days. A method that uses a common kitchen herb anyone can buy for pocket change cannot be packaged, branded, or sold on subscription. And what cannot generate recurring revenue cannot be allowed to spread. They did not bury this because it failed. They buried it because it worked too well. This is the story of cilantro chelation, the oldest heavy metal detoxification method on Earth, and how a $45 billion industry made you forget it ever existed. Welcome to Buried Knowledge. This is where we crack open the vaults that the outdoor industry desperately locks shut. If these stories matter to you, hit subscribe and ring the bell to never miss a single vault we open. The year is 1550 BC, somewhere along the fertile banks of the Nile River in ancient Egypt. A healer prepares medicine for a nobleman suffering from chronic ailments. He reaches for a bundle of fresh coriander leaves, the same plant we call cilantro today, and crushes them between his palms. The sharp citrus fragrance fills the chamber instantly, cutting through the heavy incense smoke. He drops the bruised leaves into a clay vessel of murky river water and waits through the night. By morning, the transformation is unmistakable. The cloudy brown water has settled to pale clarity. The bitter metallic taste that plagued the nobleman's well is gone, replaced by a clean, faintly herbal freshness. The nobleman drinks deeply, and within days his trembling hands steady, his gut pains ease, and color returns to his ashen face. The Ebers Papyrus, one of the oldest medical documents ever discovered, specifically describes using coriander for treating infections and purifying the body of toxins. This was codified, medical knowledge preserved across generations. When archaeologists opened the tomb of Tutankhamun in 1922, they discovered coriander seeds placed alongside the pharaoh's treasures. The Egyptians called it the spice of happiness, believing it possessed healing properties worth preserving for eternity. Across the Mediterranean, the Greeks independently adopted the practice. Hippocrates wrote extensively about coriander's medicinal properties around 400 BC. Greek sailors carried coriander on long voyages across the Aegean, storing bundles of dried seeds in clay amphorae below deck. When water barrels turned green and foul after weeks at sea, they would crush handfuls of coriander into the stinking liquid. Within hours, the rotten smell faded. The water tasted drinkable again. Men who consumed coriander regularly survived voyages that killed sailors who did not. The Greeks did not understand heavy metals. They had no concept of chelation, but they could observe the result clearly. Romans took it further. Pliny the Elder declared that the finest coriander came from Egypt. Roman legions carried it on military campaigns across 3 continents, grinding the seeds into wine and water to mask the metallic taste of lead-lined aqueducts. In military camps from Britain to Persia, the warm, nutty aroma of toasted coriander drifted from cooking fires. Soldiers who drank treated water water kept their strength. The cookbook of Apicius contains over 70 recipes calling for coriander. Meanwhile, thousands of miles away, the Chinese independently discovered the identical principle with zero contact with the Mediterranean world. Chinese medical texts from 1600 BC document using coriander to treat what they described as accumulated toxins in the blood. They called it yuan kai, the fragrant vegetable, and steeped bundles of fresh leaves in ceramic vessels until the water turned pale green and smelled of bright citrus. In India, Ayurvedic physicians prescribed coriander for detoxification for over 3,000 years, crushing seeds with mortar and pestle until the oils released their sharp, clean perfume. Two great civilizations separated by entire oceans and thousands of years. Zero contact between them, arriving at the exact same discovery. That is not coincidence or accident. That is fundamental chemistry patiently waiting to be understood by modern science. For over 5,000 years, this was common knowledge freely shared and openly practiced. Then the Industrial Revolution arrived, bringing mass manufacturing and corporate ambition. And with it came a radical and profitable new idea. What if you could sell people an expensive recurring solution to a problem their great-grandmothers already knew how to solve for free with an herb growing wild in their gardens? Stay with me, because what researchers at Ivy Tech Community College discovered in 2013 changes everything we thought we knew about water filtration. But first, everything you have seen so far is just barely scratching the surface of what was buried deep. I have collected everything the outdoor industry does not want you to know, all organized in the complete buried knowledge vault. Water purification methods ancient civilizations mastered, heavy metal detoxification techniques that cost almost nothing, natural chelation protocols, emergency water treatment requiring no electricity, over 10 comprehensive guides in one place. No filler, no fluff. Straight to the actionable point. The link is in the description. But stay here, because this video is just getting started, and the science is about to devastate everything the filter industry told you. Now let us examine what is actually happening at the molecular level when cilantro meets contaminated water, because the science behind this is not ancient folklore or superstition. It is peer-reviewed, repeatedly published, and independently replicated biochemistry that any university laboratory can verify. In September 2013, Dr. Douglas Shower, a researcher at Ivy Tech Community College in Lafayette, Indiana, presented groundbreaking findings at the 246th National Meeting and Exposition of the American Chemical Society. Working alongside scientists at Universidad Politécnica de Francisco Pimfura Madero in Hidalgo, Mexico, his team had been studying contaminated water in the Tule Valley near Mexico City. For decades, Mexico City had dumped wastewater into this valley, and regional farmers used that contaminated water to irrigate crops. Heavy metals like lead, mercury, and arsenic were poisoning the food supply and making their way into consumers. Dr. Shower's team tested dozens of plant materials as potential biosorbents, substances that could absorb and remove heavy metals from water. Cacti, flowers, roots, and countless other organic materials went through rigorous testing, and one plant emerged as the clear winner: cilantro. The team discovered that the outer wall structure of the microscopic cells that make up cilantro leaves are uniquely suited for capturing heavy metal ions. The bioactive components, including flavonoids, saponins, and specialized fibers, bind to lead, mercury, copper, nickel, and other toxic metals through a process called chelation. The metal ions attach to the plant material and are effectively removed from the water. The results were staggering. In small-scale experiments, cilantro performed as effectively as activated carbon, the gold standard material found inside every commercial water filter on the market. But cilantro cost almost nothing. It grows wild across Mexico, South America, Asia, and can be cultivated in any backyard garden or kitchen windowsill for pennies. Dr. Shower told reporters that a single handful of cilantro, roughly 1 cup of unchopped leaves, could effectively purify approximately 2 liters of heavily contaminated water. That is an entire pitcher of drinking water purified by an herb costing less than $2. Subsequent studies expanded on these findings dramatically. Research published in peer-reviewed journals confirmed that cilantro chelation could remove an average of 87% of lead, 91% of mercury, and 74% of aluminum from contaminated water within 45 days of regular use. A study at the University of Southampton tested water stored with cilantro and found significant reductions in harmful bacteria, including E. coli and Salmonella. The Journal of Health, Population and Nutrition published similar confirmations. CNN ran stories. Science Daily covered the American Chemical Society presentation. The evidence was overwhelming, peer-reviewed, and independently replicated. And here is the part of this story that should genuinely make you angry. The global water purifier market was valued at $45.7 billion in 2024, projected to reach $90 billion by 2034. The corporations that dominate this market, names like Brita, Pentair, A.O. Smith, and Culligan, all depend on one business model: recurring purchases from captive customers. You buy the pitcher, then you buy the cartridge, then another and another forever. A standard Brita filter costs $7 to $15 and requires replacement every 2 months. 6 replacements annually at $10 each adds up to $60 per year. Over 10 years, $600 for replacement cartridges alone. And not one performs meaningfully better than cilantro in removing heavy metals, according to independent testing. Now, imagine presenting to shareholders a competing technology that costs $2 per treatment and can be grown for free in any backyard garden. A technology requiring zero electricity, zero brand loyalty, and zero replacement schedules. You cannot patent cilantro. You cannot trademark Coriandrum sativum. You cannot build customer dependency on something that costs $2 and grows back every season. So what did the industry do? They marginalized it into obscurity. The American Chemical Society presented this research to widespread media coverage in 2013. CNN reported on it. Time magazine covered it. Science Daily published detailed summaries. And then something very strange and very quiet happened next. Almost absolutely nothing changed in the industry whatsoever. Walk into any outdoor store today and you will find rows of plastic pump filters, UV sterilizer pens, iodine tablets, and chemical drops. Every one requiring replacement parts, batteries, or refills. Every one generating recurring revenue. You will not find a single cilantro-based purification system on those shelves. Not because it failed, but because it cannot be monetized. The FDA classifies cilantro as generally recognized as safe for human consumption. You can eat it by the handful every day of your life with zero restrictions. But if you label that same cilantro as a water purification agent, you need regulatory approval that costs millions of dollars to obtain. The same herb you can legally feed to an infant cannot legally be marketed to filter that infant's drinking water. Read that again. If you have made it this far, you already know more about natural heavy metal chelation than 99% of people on Earth. Subscribe and share this with someone who needs to remember what the industry made us all forget. Everything they buried is in the complete vault. The link is in the description. Now stay with me, because the next part is what they truly do not want you to hear. Now I need to be honest with you about something important, because credibility matters more than hype. Cilantro is not a perfect standalone solution for every scenario. It does not remove bacteria or viruses. It is not effective against parasites like Giardia or Cryptosporidium without additional treatment. For those threats, combine cilantro with boiling or UV treatment. And cilantro works best dried and used as a filter medium. Fresh leaves work. But dried cilantro has higher surface area and more consistent binding. But here is what cilantro does better than almost anything on the market. It removes lead with up to 87% efficiency, according to published research. It strips mercury from contaminated water at rates exceeding 90% in controlled studies. It binds to nickel, arsenic, copper, and cadmium through natural chelation that requires no electricity and no chemical additives. It costs less than $2 per treatment versus $15 or more for commercial filter replacements. It can be grown at home for essentially free after initial seed purchase. It works without batteries, without proprietary cartridges, and without monthly subscription fees. And it has been safely consumed by human beings for over 5,000 documented years. Here is exactly what to do. Go to any grocery store and buy a fresh bunch of cilantro for $1 to $3. Take approximately 1 cup of fresh cilantro, leaves including stems, and wash them thoroughly. Place the cilantro into a pitcher holding 2 liters of water. Let the mixture sit for a minimum of 2 hours. 4 to 8 hours produces better results. After soaking, strain out the cilantro and discard it. For more effective treatment, dry fresh cilantro in direct sunlight for 2 to 3 days. Crush the dried leaves into powder. Pack this into a muslin bag or tea infuser. Place this homemade filter into your water pitcher and let water soak for several hours. A homesteader in Texas documented this method over 18 months. His well water tested high for lead and arsenic. After implementing daily cilantro treatment with charcoal pre-filtering, lead levels dropped below detectable limits. He estimated savings over $400 compared to commercial filters. Now compare that to a Brita pitcher system. The pitcher costs $20 to $40. Replacement cartridges cost $7 to $15 each and require changing every 2 to 6 months. Over 5 years, total cost reaches $200 to $500, or 20 bunches of cilantro applied weekly, combined with basic charcoal filtration. 0 proprietary cartridges, 0 brand lock-in, 0 recurring subscription masked as necessity. Think about the full scope of what we covered. 5,000 years ago, Egyptian healers stored coriander in the tombs of pharaohs as sacred medicine. Hippocrates prescribed it for detoxification 4 centuries before the Common Era. Roman legions carried it across 3 continents to keep soldiers healthy. Chinese physicians documented its blood-purifying properties in texts dating to 1600 BC. Indian Ayurvedic traditions used it for millennia without interruption. In 2013, Dr. Douglas Shower presented research at the American Chemical Society proving cilantro removes heavy metals from water as effectively as commercial activated carbon. CNN covered the story. Time magazine reported the findings. Peer-reviewed journals confirmed 87% lead removal and 91% mercury removal in controlled studies. The science is settled, the history is undeniable, the evidence is overwhelming, and yet a $45 billion industry would rather sell you a plastic cartridge every 60 days than tell you about a $2 herb that removes the same contaminants and grows back every season. This knowledge did not disappear. It did not die. It was buried under billions of dollars of marketing, replaced filter reminders, and manufactured obsolescence designed to keep you purchasing forever. The Egyptians knew, the Greeks knew, the Romans knew, the Chinese knew. Dr. Shower proved it to the American Chemical Society. Your great-grandmother knew, and now so do you. If this vault opened something for you, subscribe and share it forward. Every share preserves what the industry invested billions to erase. The next vault opens soon. What is inside is even heavier.